Your favorite artists. New music discovery. Candid conversations, unfiltered. Loudmouth, little lady, lots of music history. Broadcasting live from New Jersey, it's the Car Stereo Podcast with Terrie Carr.
So I'm like over the moon on the Car Stereo Podcast today because I have one of my heroes, and I don't even play guitar. He's a Grammy winner. He is a crafter of sound. He is just a legend. And I welcome the incredible Vernon Reid. Seeing your face, like I got goosies on my arm because, oh my goodness, I have been a fan forever. I think even predating seeing Living Color on the Steel Wheels tour. You're just the GOAT. You're just the master. So thanks so much for taking some time with me.
Oh man, thanks for having me.
So let's talk about, going to jump right in. Hoodoo Telemetry is out. It's the new solo record.
Yeah.
It's incredible. This is a record though that I got to tell you, I can't interview you by breaking this down because It's not a record, I don't think, to be broken down. It's a record that you put on and you just love and enjoy, and you take the ride. You just take the ride. Now, I'm going to bring up some of the things that I found interesting about this record. I think it's interesting that some of these songs were crafted a while back.
Oh, yeah.
Then shelved.
Yeah.
Then brought back.
Yeah.
Then worked on. So talk to me about doing a record like that or just being inspired. So are you working on a record? Is it like a relationship, say, with a woman or with a best friend, where sometimes, as good as it is, you need to take a step back? And then what inspires you to pick it up again?
Well, sometimes, just like anything else, things happen in time. And sometimes it's people are not ready for, whatever. It's not the time. Like a song like Beautiful Bastard. Early on, it was part of a song cycle, a series of things that I was working on. And, I had been working on a follow-up to Mistaken Identity. And I was part of a huge purge. There was a kind of Black Monday purge across the board. Like a lot of artists were being dropped.
Yeah. That was your Sony days, by the way. That was the Sony days in the 90s.
Yeah, the Sony days. So, yeah, and that was very difficult. And it wasn't just for me, but a lot of artists were, like the A&R men's favorites and whatnot. They were there was just a economic purge at that time. And that was very depressing. It was not a great time. And but I was still writing, and a lot of the songs I was writing at that time dealt with difficult. There's a great phrase, situationship, which I wish situationship.
That's an album title.
I mean to tell you, and there was a particular person woman in my life who I couldn't get around it, and it was not great. And Beautiful Bastard, at one time, DK Dyson, great female singer, she sang it, and then I was thinking about language, and language is gendered, right? So when people say bastard, they think of a dude.
Oh, absolutely. Bastard, yeah. Right? Yeah.
And but and really, it's strange because it's about like, the bastard claims the throne, right? Like you're the son of the king's side piece, and you know what I mean. So that's like a whole thing, and the battle of the bastards in Game of Thrones, right?
Yep.
So there's all of that, but really it's just your parents weren't married, so you're a bastard, and that's male and female, right? So I wanted to play with the language, but I also want to play with the gender thing too. And so Rashid, I got to know him. He put out a record called Prototype. He was a remarkable, remarkable vocalist. And he had sung a couple of tracks that was on my record, This Little Room, that got me dropped. And I was working on some other things, and he was being real cool. And he came and he sang "Beautiful Bastard," and he just killed it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He killed it DK was fabulous, but Rashid took it into this other mysterious place. And so I kind of but when I was trying to put that on a Yohimbi Brothers record, I had this project with DJ Logic.
Sure.
And
Yeah.
there was like kind of people like kind of not feeling it. And I was like, man, I think this, but it was kind of not, I was kind of also, all right, I'll put it aside, and we did other things. So I put it aside. I did the song "The Haunting" with my friend Kevin Webb out of DC. And it's very much the influence of Sly Stone filtered through the influence of Prince. There's very much a Prince type of feel.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know what
yeah.
I mean?
I could hear that. I could hear that immediately, just being a Prince maniac. Of all of it, the vocals, everything about the production of that song was very, it was hauntingly Prince, for lack of a better, phrase.
Exactly. I love, Prince can be grand, but I love when Prince would break it down to something very small and intimate, like Pop Life. Like Pop Life is just it's like a fable. You know what I mean?
It's a fable of time. It's a fable of what was happening in the world. It was my God. Yes.
You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
He's
always around me. He's never far from me. I have everything around me with my.
He's always in your hair.
He's always there. He's always inspiring me. And I'm really not kidding. He's pretty much everywhere in this room, I
hear that.
That was So hang on. I don't want Prince to fall down. Yeah, I hear all of that. I hear all of that. This, the record is almost like a Zappa record to me. Because I know you don't know where it's going. And I mean that in the highest compliment, true artistic feel.
It's kind of funny because I was going back. It's really emotions. The record is really guided by emotions and all different types of emotions, And it's like Bronx Paradox is just a fun track celebrating my friend DJ Logic,
Yeah.
And it's one of my favorite tracks. It's one of my favorite solos is the trumpet solo by J.S. Williams on Bronx Paradox. He's like, bringing in like the Lee Morgan vibe, the Woody Shaw, you know what I mean? He just brought in like all this cool, not even like a Miles Davis thing. He brings his own flavor to
his own feel, his own
like a Clifford Brown thing. I love that. And so I was very happy with my collaborators, the people who played with me on this record. My friend Steve Jenkins, he's in LA, but he played bass all over this thing. He did great. He played drums, on it. D'Anthony Parks played great drums on Beautiful Bastard. Chris Edelton, he plays on Bronx Paradox.
Yeah, he's amazing. Amazing.
He's great, So he plays on Politician, so all of that. Playing Politician, that's so much about my feeling for Jack Bruce. He's one of the people who I was honored to be
play
part
with.
Of one
sure.
Of his, And I used to love. He was such a card. He was really a lot of fun to be around. And I remember one time we played Politician, and it was so fun. He was so. I'll never forget this one particular way. So I wanted to record that, and what was great about it was working with Greg Tate's old band, Burnt Sugar. I had 3 vocalists, right? So I had Bruce Mack, Shelley Nicole, and Miss Alithia Anglin. They all do the vocals to Politician, and they just kind of broaden it in a way, the message of what it is.
Yeah.
So, all of these different things, it's like the past, the present, looking to the future, like Brave New World, Brave New World, which ends the album, it's the voice of Aldous Huxley, but this is from a lecture that he gave. It's like the late 50s or early 60s. And he started talking about oligarch. You know, we talk about oligarchs all the time now.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
oligarch was not at that time was very much a technical political science type of, and now we use it all the time. And he talks about, you know, the oligarchs who have always existed and presumably always will exist. And here we're surrounded. We talk about oligarchs all the time,
That's
and
our
that's
new,
the
yeah.
kind of thing
Yeah.
that that's what we're living. That's what we're living under.
Yeah.
That's what we're living with. You know. So all of these different things, and I love the fact that you think of it as a ride. Like I did the Edgar Winter song "Dying to Live,"
Yeah, you did,
and
because
the
you did
vocalist,
Politician and Edgar Winter's Dying to Live. So yeah, two songs
yeah,
from
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
past. Yeah.
yeah. So there's a part. There are parts of it that are about that music. Those you know, Edgar Winter, you know, Frankenstein, you know, like that actually is part of it's part of the music that shaped my feeling for it, but also, you know, working with this rapper Nironic, you know, on Good Afternoon Everyone. I I taped a guy who was in the subway and he was homeless, and he was just like, he was incredibly polite. He goes, "Good afternoon, everyone. Could you help me with something to eat today? Good afternoon, everyone. Could you help me with something to eat today? Good afternoon, everyone." You
Hmm.
know, and his rage, he's incredibly polite. He doesn't scream, he doesn't yell. He's obviously intelligent, but the rage at his circumstances and that people, is there anyone who has isn't taking for granted what they have in their life? Is there anyone that hasn't taken for granted what they have in life, can help me with something to eat today? He's also talking about, you think you're different from me, and I'm here because of circumstances, and it can happen to you.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, so
Yeah. Yeah. I feel these songs, and that's the type of artist that you are. You're an artist who emotes. When I saw you at Back to the Beginning, the Final
yeah.
Sabbath, show, I thought you were an MVP to me. Rudy Sarzo on
Oh my
bass was
God,
an MVP to me that day. Nuno obviously was an
Nuno.
MVP, but
Oh, woo.
I felt like you guys were just really the guys that held the glue together of the projects that you were doing that day. And seeing you up there, just being a guy from in Jersey, I'm not far from the city, like
Yeah, yeah,
we're each other.
yeah,
We're each
yeah.
other.
We're in the
You're
same
a little
vibe.
bit older
Yeah.
than me, but not much. And so I feel like I grew up with you, and seeing you there, and just seeing, an amazing black guitar player being represented there made me feel
And
proud
then, you
and
know,
good.
the fact that Tom Morello was the MD, Tom Morello put the whole thing
He
together,
did, yeah.
and I
Yeah.
was really incredibly proud of him. It was great to see my friend William Duvall from Alice in Chains, you
He
know, and Jerry.
killed it. Oh my
Yeah,
God, killed it. I mean, William is amazing. Well, I want to talk to you, and I mentioned this as we started, and I'm thinking he's probably never going to believe me, but Black Rock Coalition meant a lot to me. It started
yeah.
40 years ago. No, we're
No,
not,
it's yes, insane. No, it is. It's
but
truly. It's
we're not that old.
85, 85.
85. I know.
Yeah,
And I remember a friend
yeah,
mentioning to me, because we would go to see all these great artists, whether it was King's X or 24/7
yeah.
Spies or Bad Brains. I had bought the John Butcher record and loved the John Butcher record. We saw
Right
this
on. Yeah, yeah.
turning of the tide. Eric Gales was coming out. Then Lenny Kravitz came.
Woo.
Lenny did something a little
Yeah.
different. Lenny was in the beginning more of his folky, granola-y. Joan
Uh-huh.
Armatrading was somebody who was all over MTV
Almost.
and nominated for a Grammy. So there were colors that were around us at that time. And
Hmm.
a friend of mine said, "Oh, there's these guys in New York, Vernon Reid. I don't think Living Color had busted open yet. And they're
Yeah,
starting something called BRC, Black Rock Coalition. This guy, Greg Tate, writes for the Village Voice and blah, blah, blah.
yeah, yeah,
And we got to keep going and seeing these bands and da, 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 da." And it
yeah.
was such a movement. Now, I had on this feature with me last week a good friend of mine, and I'm sure you know him, Aaron Jones, an
Oh, of
amazing
course. I
guitar
love
player.
A-Rod. I love A-Rod. He's awesome.
Aaron is great. He's an artist that is incredible. I don't feel like anybody knows where to put him right now because we got to
Right.
box everybody.
Yeah.
But I did a little uh, Googling before I chatted with him, because I said, I think Aaron is the record holder for number ones at rock radio for a black solo artist. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I got to bring that up. And at first I said that to Aaron, and he's like, I think it's me, but he wasn't even sure. So we're Googling and stuff, and he is. And I thought to myself, I don't want to box him in as, the black guy doing rock. But when you've
Right.
had two number ones on like debut records and it's
Yeah.
happening during COVID time and you're not out touring, and then you get a number two and then you get a top five, that's got to be recognized. It just
Yeah.
has to, you
Yeah.
know? And
Yeah.
and it circled me back to 85 when you
Oh yeah.
put BRC together with Greg Tate. Talk to me about the inspiration when that just came into your mind and you said, you know what, we've just got to, and what you were just trying to do is let people know, hey, look, black people are rockers too.
Yeah.
You know,
We
we
started it,
started
and
it. We
we
started
started
everything.
it, and we've never stopped. And
Right.
this is the conversation. Well, the inspiration for me was, you know, defining rock. For me, rock, of course, was Led Zeppelin and the Allman Brothers, right? But it included Funkadelic. Funkadelic was a rock band. I'm talking about those early records, America Eats Its Young, Cosmic Slop.
Rock and
You know,
roll, man. Rock. They
it
were
was rock
rock
and roll,
stars and it was rock and roll.
right? War to me, after Eric Burden, was a rock band. Absolutely. Mandrill, which was a great horn band, but they were a rock band like Blood, Sweat, and Tears. They needed to be in a sense, Blood, Sweat, and Tears in Chicago, right? Um, Edwin Birdsong, who made this incredible record with Eddie Kramer, produced it, called Supernatural, which introduced me to the guitar playing of Ronnie Drake. And really biggest of all for me at that time was the Isley Brothers, because Jimi Hendrix was in the Isley Brothers, right, early on. And the youngest Isley brother, Ernie Isley, he literally took the Isleys and had them survive into the 70s and 80s. Like, he dragged them himself, kicking and screaming. Like, Ronnie Isley, basically, like, that lady, that's like probably the most famous thing.
Yeah.
That lady was a bossa nova track in the 60s. And it was Ernie Isley that said we should re-record it and do it as a rock track.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and that was a huge hit. So my thing about that, and the cover of Summer Breeze,
Well, look at Shaka. Look at Shaka.
oh
When
my
Shaka
God,
was young, she to me was a rock star. She was
absolutely,
a rock
absolutely,
artist. You see her on
absolutely,
stage, she looked like a rock star. She had a rock
absolutely.
band behind
Yeah,
her.
absolutely.
And
100%.
yep,
100%.
yep,
But, LaBelle was a rock band.
absolutely.
You
Look
know what
at
I
Rick
mean?
James. Look
Of
at
course.
Rick's band.
Yeah, yeah.
They were rock stars.
It's
They were rock stars. It was like a Kiss band,
yeah.
you never knew what you were going to get. So yeah, I mean, this is a it's a
That's
thing.
the reality. But
Yep.
at the same time, basically the industry that promotes rock kind of just like I was a big fan of all the guitar magazines, right? And Ernie Isley never got. I was very fortunate. When Cult of Personality came out, I was on the cover of Guitar Player magazine, and I'm eternally grateful for it. But I got on that cover because Ernie Isley didn't get on the cover. You know what I mean? And that was a crime to me. Like, and mind you, all of the guitar players that got covers of Guitar Player magazine, I love them. Rory Gallagher, Jan Ackerman, I love these guitar players. But Ernie Isley was systematically ignored. And he wasn't like a music critic favorite. He actually had that sound. He had Hendrix's sound survive on top 40 hits. He did that on hits, and he was denied attention when he was young, he was pretty, he was in his prime. And in his prime, he was denied his rightful place. And that's part of the energy that went into my making those early phone calls to people. But the other thing was the early 80s, like in New York, the ecology of clubs, the number of clubs that there were it was crazy. They actually had, and I refer to it as an ecology because the Mud Club, CBGBs, Tramps, the Cat Club,
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Danceteria,
Yeah.
Privates, the Peppermint Lounge, the old Ritz on 11th Street,
We were
right?
everywhere. Yep.
This was what it was. And basically, before you even get to the older clubs like the Bitter End and Candy's Castaways, there was all of this, Trudy Hellers, there were all of these places where artists could play and be heard and seen. And the A&R people would go out and check people. That's how it was like a farm team, right? You start in one spot, you went through things, you go to Irving Plaza from CBGB's, right? You go from Irving Plaza to the Palladium, right? You go to the Ritz, the Palladium, then the Beacon Theater. There was a whole pathway.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
For you to go.
Yeah.
And early on, I saw something happening with my friend's bands. I had started Living Color in '84. My friend Melvin Gibbs, we were both in the Decoding Society together. He started his band I and I with his wife DK Dyson. And we joked that they were the Ike and Tina of the downtown scene, right? So the first rock band outside of like Herbie Hancock's Rocket, first rock band to have a DJ Logic was 17 years old. First rock band to have a DJ as a regular member of the band. Like that hadn't happened before. That's way before Linkin Park. That's way before they had a DJ as a member of the band early on. I went to a gig. They were on fire and there were 10 people in the audience. I was like, what the hell is going on? Then, like places like the Limelight and Danceteria, they had the Velvet Rope thing, right? So you would go to Danceteria and have a blast. I used to be a fan of the Waitresses. I used to go see the Waitresses all the time. You know what I mean? And my friend Zach Alford played drums with the Waitresses.
Yeah.
So all of this was all happening in real time. And then the next day, they're not letting you in the club because they would just arbitrarily not let people into the club. And then you see people going in the club say, yo, you letting them in. Why you not letting, And this was the nonsense that used to go on. So at the same time, what was happening on radio was becoming segregated. There was a time, NEW, you could hear James Brown and Marvin Gaye on NEW. There was a time where you would hear Queen on BLS, right? You would hear, you would hear Queen and Kokomo on BLS. So because the DJs were free, they were like film auteurs, right? They could do Frankie Crocker and Scott Muni. They played what they wanted to play. Nobody was telling Scott Muni what to do. Nobody was telling Frankie Crocker what to do.
And they were shows. They were doing shows. They were doing shows. They were bringing their stuff in and doing radio shows, which was the inspiration for me as a young girl to get into radio. And I listened to all those. I listen to Frankie Crocker. I listen to Carol Ford. I listen to Carol Miller. I was inspired by all of these voices that I heard on the radio. And I was inspired by the ones that spoke to me. Radio is about connection. It's not about how great your voice is. And it's just about how you connect with people. And those people spoke to me, whether it was an R&B station or a rock station or a disco station or, but over time, things became so much more fragmented, and everybody needs a box.
The consultants came in, because
now it's too late.
Yeah, because think about it. When FM started, it was considered experimental because all the hits, everything was happening on AM radio.
AM radio, baby. My grown-up life was AM radio, driving in a car.
Right. So when FM came in, it was considered obscure, but the signal was clearer than AM radio. But that's how Dark Side of the Moon became a phenomenon because the DJs used to play the entire side of Dark Side of the Moon. Dark Side of the Moon was literally a creation of FM radio. And this sort of thing, they would play entire sides of records. They would play They would play like, like depending on the DJ.
Perfect album sides, they used to call them. Tonight on Perfect Album Sides. It's
Exactly.
side two of Dark Side of the Moon. And I would be a kid in my room listening to Alison Steele, the Nightbird, and I was inspired by her because I had heard there's this woman on the radio and Jimi Hendrix wrote a song about her. The Nightbird
Absolutely.
is flying. And I was like, oh, that was my inspiration really for getting into radio. I thought if you're someone who Jimi Hendrix is going to know about and write a song, and there's going to be a song that you're going to be referenced in. That's
Yeah.
a job for me,
One
you know.
100%.
And so
You know.
everything then was all about inspiration, which we've lost in every facet of life now, which is
Yes.
unfortunate. But
But
you and Greg Tate
yeah.
with the Black Rock Coalition were inspired to start this, unfortunately, was it 2021
It was 21, yeah, December 7th, 2021.
when we lost Greg? Yeah.
When we lost Greg, I'll never forget it. And it was a shattering loss. I mean, here's something very, very, very there's an echo of that loss this week because we lost D'Angelo. And we lost D'Angelo on October 14th, which is Greg Tate's birthday. He would have been 68.
Wow.
And and Greg loved D'Angelo. He was a
Oh,
huge D'Angelo fan. And so it was just a tough week. It's a tough week.
yeah, we lost Ace
I
Frehley
you
as
know
you and I
I've
are
had
speaking. We lost
oh
Bronx
my
Boy
God.
Ace Frehley last night.
Yes.
Definitely a king of
Yeah.
70s tone, as you are a tone king as well. Yeah,
Yeah.
thoughts on that? When you were a kid, did you have a Kiss moment? Did you see those guys and was
Of
that
course.
a moment for
Of
you?
course. Well,
Yeah,
Kiss,
especially
see,
localized.
people forget that that time period, right? And I'm going to this is going to seem a little sort of off balance, but go with me with this.
Okay.
There was a time period when Bowie was out. Now, Bowie was challenging, you know, everything. Around the time that Bowie came, this was like Mark Bolan, T Rex, Bowie. Then you have Alice Cooper arrives, and people were completely freaked out. People talk about the satanic panic. Trust me, Alice Cooper, schools out. You know what I mean? When they talk about blowing up the school, I mean, this is, billion-dollar babies. I mean, and Kiss arrives right around when Alice Cooper is in. So there was this whole thing that was incredibly confrontational that rock music was doing, and people were kind of panicked before the Satanic Panic. They were panicked about men in makeup, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah.
freaked like, and Kiss was so confrontational and so bizarre and so theatrical, right? This is glam. This is like the glam situation took another turn. Kiss arrived.
Yeah.
It took this other turn, and kids went mad for it. But I mean, this was parents were in the 70s were like, holy shit.
They were
They were
busting up
complaining.
records. They were burning records and breaking records. And I remember having a religious friend's mother say to me, I had a Kiss shirt. And she said, no, that stands for Knights in Satan's Service. And I'm sitting there like,
Right.
what are we
And people
talking
make
about? I'm in
shit
the
up.
army. People were losing their shit over it.
Oh yeah. People were people out. And the only time it started to cool down and was when David Bowie did a Christmas thing with Bing Crosby, right?
Bowie. Yes. Bing and Bowie when Bing called
They
him
did
Bowie.
right. They did that when Alice Cooper started playing golf with Milton Berle. Right?
Yeah.
Right? And these says, oh no, 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 okay. Because before that, they didn't break character, right? They didn't, and when they didn't break character, people were freaking about it. And then they kind of made this move where they did like these kind of like domestically, they did these things that kind of took a little bit of the, because they kind of said, okay, I'm a person behind the mask, I'm a real person, right? Right, which is something in a way because the situation was becoming incredibly polarized. You know what I mean? And like Alice had this tune, "No More Mr. Nice Guy," right? "No More Mr. Nice Guy" was just about the controversy. It's exactly the same thing as when Prince did the song "Controversy." "No More Mr. Nice Guy" is the exact same thing because Prince did that. Next Generation, he did that.
Yep. Yep.
And that sort of thing, at a certain point, the hedonism that Kiss represented, the unbridled, I want to rock and roll all night and party every day. The kids got it from one point, but the parents were like, oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no. Yeah. 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 It was, look, for us, I think it was a great time to be alive.
Oh my God.
What a time. And that's what inspired us to just have this open mind about everything. Your inspirations go from everybody from Jimmy to Robert Fripp to, I mean, it really is your universe. And I think that this is a great full circle record for you because I think it's everything that you've done and it
everything that made me me.
But I don't want to say that because I feel like then there's so much more that you can do and you will do.
Absolutely.
So I don't want to have it be like this is the be all and the end all.
No, it's not that at all. But you know what? The be all end all of this interview, I have to go on to the next thing.
I know. Me and you, we just started BSing about music and I didn't even get to any of my questions, but that's what makes it so beautiful. I want everyone to know that the new record is amazing. And here's what you have to do. You just have to put it on, take the ride, and listen to it. Vernon Reid, it has been such a pleasure talking music with Vernon Reid. Like I'm sitting in a bar having a cocktail with you has been the absolute greatest thing ever. Absolutely. I love you. Thank you for all that you've given.
Have a great weekend. This was a joy. Thank you so much.
I will see you soon. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Don't forget to like this podcast and subscribe to the Car Stereo page on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rob Moorhead. TC and I will see you next time.